This further expression of this concept of false ego, ahankar. Falsely identifying oneself as the material body and accepting bodily expansions such as children and grandchildren to be one's eternal property. By doing that, one completely forgets that every living being is qualitatively one with God. Quality means the substances, the spiritual substances of Sat, eternality, Chit, consciousness or awareness, and Anand. Satchit Anand means the ability to experience unlimited ecstatic love and the ability to express unlimited ecstatic love. This is Anand, this prime aspect of the jiva. There is no essential difference between one individual being and another, since all are eternal expansions of the Supreme Lord. However, the mind absorbed in false ego creates the material body. And by identification with that particular body, the soul becomes conditioned and becomes overwhelmed by false pride and ignorance. Persons who identify with this body, which is simply a product of the material mind, are blinded in their intelligence, thinking in terms of I and mine. Because of their illusion of this and this is I, but that is someone else's, they wander in endless darkness. There's a whole discussion. This is the song of the Avanti Brahmin, which is called the Bhikshu Gita. And he's describing, a very interesting, 11th canto, chapter 23, he's describing what is the cause of suffering. Is it me? Is it you? Is it the environment? Is it the stars? Oh, it's my planet. It's Shani. And or it's Shani or it's Rahu. And I need this ring, I need a Neelam, I need a sapphire, it's Chandra, I need a Moti. Chandra's affecting my mind, I need a pearl. And then he comes to the conclusion that it's simply my attachment to this material world and this body that's causing all my suffering. And then, of course, this is all part of this next entry here. It's a very interesting dialogue. Chapter 23 from 11th canto, if you ever have time to read it, it's extremely illuminating. I'm just going to skip over a few, it's quite a long chapter. Well, I can just read some of the verses because they're quite. This is his mind. He's analytical. Mind is meant for analyzing. Of course, discriminating. Mind, of course, basically there's mind and intelligence, buddhi, man and buddhi, but the man is accepting and rejecting, vikalpa and sankalpa, vikalpa, weighing, accepting, rejecting. And the mind and the intelligence is discriminating and making some higher choices. If you say that these people are the cause of my happiness and distress, then where is the place of the soul in such a conception? This happiness and distress I experience pertain not to the soul, but to the actions of material bodies. If someone bites his tongue with his own teeth, at whom can he become angry in his suffering? Sometimes you're eating food and you bite your teeth. Oh, you made me bite my teeth. You made me bite my tongue. Acha. If someone bites his tongue with his own teeth, who can he blame? If you say that the demigods who rule the bodily senses, because the devatas are actually in control, the eyes and the ears, and they're all different demigods or devas. If you say the demigods who rule the bodily senses are causing suffering, still, how can such suffering apply to the spiritual soul, spirit soul? This acting and being acted upon are merely interactions of the changeable senses and their presiding deities. When one limb of the body attacks another, with whom can the person in that body be angry? Sometimes you're hammering a nail. You go, tong, oh! So one limb of the body attacked another limb. The hammer hit your finger, now you have a broken nail. So who can you be angry with? The purports are very good, the explanation. If the soul himself were the cause of happiness and distress, then we could not blame others, since happiness and distress would be simply the nature of the soul. According to this theory, nothing except the soul actually exists. And if we were to perceive something besides the soul, that would be illusion. Therefore, since happiness and distress do not actually exist in this concept, why become angry at oneself or others? Now this purport, we cited this purport.
But can you just repeat the last 3-4 lines?
Yeah. If nothing except the soul actually exists, and if we were to perceive something beside the soul, that would be illusion. In other words, the body is illusion. Therefore, since happiness and distress do not actually exist in the concept that I am a soul, why become angry at oneself or others? Now the purport. Because a dead body does not feel pleasure or pain. Our happiness and distress are due to our own consciousness. And when we're alive, oh, I'm happy, oh, I'm happy, oh, I'm so happy, oh, I'm so unhappy. But now if someone gives you just a drop of cyanide and you keel over dead, everything's there, your body's everything there. Where's your happiness? Where's your distress? It's consciousness has been withdrawn from the body. Consciousness is the energy of the energy of the Atma, the soul. It's a nature. It is not, however, the original function of the soul to enjoy material happiness and suffer material distress. These are produced by ignorant material affection and enmity based on false ego. Our involvement in sense gratification drags our consciousness into the material body, where it is shocked by the inevitable bodily pains and problems. On the spiritual platform, there is neither happiness nor distress, because there the living consciousness is fully engaged without personal desire in the loving service of the Supreme Lord. This is the actual position of happiness, aloof from the false bodily identification. Rather than uselessly becoming enraged with others for one's own foolishness, one should take to self-realization and solve the problems of life. He goes on, if we say that the planets are the immediate cause of suffering and happiness, then also where is the relationship with the soul who is eternal? After all, the effect of the planets applies only to things that have taken birth. Expert astrologers have moreover explained how the planets are only causing pain to each other. Since the living entity is distinct from these planets and from the material body, against whom should he vent his anger? Oh Shani, oh Rahu, you're doing this to me. I have to do Shani Puja. If we assume that our karma, what we're doing, our actions, is the cause of happiness and distress, still we're not dealing with the soul. The idea of material work or karma arises when there is a spiritual actor who is conscious and a material body that undergoes the transformation of happiness and distress as a reaction to such work. Since the body has no life, it cannot be the actual recipient of happiness and distress, nor can the soul who is ultimately completely spiritual and aloof from the material body. Since karma thus has no ultimate basis in either the body or the soul, at whom can one be angry? Oh, it's my bad karma. My bad karma is causing me happiness and distress. So our consciousness, which is our soul, the expression of the soul, or the presence of the soul, or the energy of the soul, falsely absorbed in the body, experiences happiness and distress. And karma, or fruit of activity, we work to get some result, is performed when we falsely consider ourselves to be the enjoyers of the material world. False ego is, thus, the illusory combination within our minds of the self and the body, which are actually two separate objects. This is false ego. The body, I'm Punjabi. Really? The soul, there's a Punjabi soul. There's a Punjabi soul, Punjabi spiritual world. There's a Punjabi Bhagavan Punjabi. Om Namo Bhagavate Punjabi Ha. This is very nice. The illusory combination within our minds of the, in our minds we make this comment. Yes, I have consciousness, I have awareness, I have a sense of identity, a sense of id. They say id or ego, or I have consciousness. I exist. I exist, therefore I am, or whatever, these different philosophers. So that, in other words, there's the body and there's the Atma. There's a soul in the body. But when you think, when you combine within the mind we think, thinking, feeling, willing, that the self and the body are one, then that's false ego. When a conditioned soul falsely considers himself to be the body and the enjoyer of the material world, he tries to find pleasure in connection with the opposite sex. Such sinful activity is based on this false concept of being the body and the enjoyer of this world. But he's not the body. So his enjoyment of this world actually doesn't exist. It is merely an interaction with his body and the objects of this world.